Hello, folks. I want to talk about a really interesting and absorbing question. When are you ready to stop drinking alcohol? And the reason I want to talk about this is I was talking to a striver the other day, and one of the things that we embrace at Strive is radical honesty, radical authenticity, with the caveat that we know that it's always coming from a place of loving kindness, okay? And we believe that if we are radically honest and we are authentic, then even if we are saying things that are going to provoke maybe a reaction of anger or frustration or sadness, at least we're showing that you can trust us to tell you the truth, right? And do it in a nice, kind way. So I was going to a debate the other day with a striver over whether or not they were ready or not to stop drinking alcohol. And I said, you're not ready yet. You need to take more time. You need to be working in the stuck phase of the Strive model for change. And we need to just, don't worry so much about the alcohol and just kind of just do the work and do the assignments that we got in that phase. But the person I was talking to really felt that they were ready and got quite upset that I didn't share their feeling that they were ready, and they wanted me to back them up. And I wasn't prepared to do that, because then that would mean I wasn't telling the truth and sharing my honest opinion. So I went to strivers and said, hey, strivers, what do you think about this question about when you're ready? And it is a really difficult one to answer, but I want to share some of the responses from the strivers, and then I want to add my own 2 cents to it at the end. Sue said, isn't everybody on a subjective journey with shared features that leads to that critical moment, that boom, that light bulb moment? I'm never going to drink again, with the caveat that some blips can happen. But if you follow that logic through, that also implies a lack of unreadiness, right? So what Sue came to was, it's a really complex question. And it's far more complex than waking up one day and going, I feel ready and I'm going to stop. Because that feeling of, right, today's the day, I'm never going to, it's a little bit New Year's Eve resolution type theory, right? And it's often not going to hold weight. And what happens if you're not built of the right stuff, then somewhere along the line, every time you say, right, today's a day, bump, today's a day, bump, today's a day, bump. If you don't have enough grit and determination and resilience to get through that, and those, by the way, are skills that you can develop and traits that you can develop. If you haven't cultivated those, then you can lose hope, okay? So really interesting there. Roy talked about her repeated day ones. And that got me thinking that this whole question about when you're ready, for some people, it's going to come after a vast number of day ones. Like it could be like 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 day ones. It could be for somebody that they just hit it and they never had a day one, right? But understanding that you are going to drink, or you're much more likely to drink along the way, makes you realize that actually that implies a lack of readiness. So every time you hit a day one, you found value in drinking alcohol, which means you're not ready to stop drinking alcohol because you weren't able to implement some tools or techniques or to do something different. You went to the alcohol. And if your goal is to never drink alcohol again, is to be a striver, then that implies every single incident that you have implies a lack of readiness. Now, what Roy said was she develops more tools. Over time, she developed more tools. So every time you have a day one, and you look at it and you investigate and you mine it for gold and you create a new way of plugging that leak. All right. So when are you going to be ready? Well, the greater your toolkit, the more plugs you leak, the more leaks you plug, you're more likely you are to be ready, right? And she made a wonderful quote. She said, I've made new grooves. She was talking about flying and not drinking when you go flying. I made new grooves around flying. That's really important, because that's what we're doing. We're actually changing our belief system that says that alcohol is not normal and pleasurable. It's an invisible, violent, and dominant belief system. That is a new groove that we're making in our mind. And once that groove is set, that alcoholism is an invisible, violent, and dominant belief system, and you believe it wholeheartedly, and you believe wholeheartedly that alcohol holds no value to you, then you're ready. That is the key, okay? Glynis said, that along the Strive model for change, you eventually realize that alcohol has no value for you, which is what I've just said. So this is why the Strive model for change is so important. It's the 6 stages of addiction that James Prochaska talks about in Changing for Good, which really nicely fits into the acronym of Strive. Stuck, thought, research, initiative, vigilance, and enlightenment. Stuck. I'm stuck. I'm not even thinking about drinking alcohol, or if I am, it's too difficult for me. Thought. I'm thinking about maybe giving up drinking. Research. I'm starting to prepare to stop drinking alcohol. Initiative. I'm taking the initiative and I'm going to take action. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. Vigilance. I've now stopped, but I need to maintain that standard. And enlightenment. Alcohol is in the rearview mirror. What is now next for me? I need to build some rockets. I need to fly to Mars. Now, the reason that this model is so important to the Strive Sobriety system is that at times along that system, your lack of readiness is going to be stronger or weaker. And we can recognize as coaches and leaders and peers when you're in the wrong phase, and we can gently push you back a little bit rather than you like take that inevitable fall down the stairs to go back a little bit. So, I think you will oscillate along the Strive model for change until at one point you don't oscillate no more and you just go north. You're just heading for enlightenment and you're not slipping back. Okay, so I think that was really important for Glynis. The other thing Glynis said that is really important, again linked with the Strive model for change, is drinking versus non-drinking. There has to be a vast difference, and what Glynis is talking about here is pain versus pleasure. At some point, the pain of drinking has to be more powerful than the pain of not drinking, or the pleasure of not drinking has to be more powerful than the pleasure of drinking. That pain pleasure. And once you nail that and you get some days behind you, then you can say to yourself, maybe I'm ready, okay? And linked to that pain pleasure, Andrew said, every time I stopped, it was due to shame from a bender, doing stupid things, offending people, letting myself down, and letting my family down. But here's the thing, when Andrew went on a bender, when Andrew felt shame, when Andrew did stupid things, when Andrew offended people, when Andrew let himself down, when Andrew let his family down, it still wasn't enough pain for him to stop drinking. The pain of not drinking was still higher than all that pain and shame that he had through drinking. So he's never going to drink. So hopefully you can see that it's not as easy as saying, wow, this alcohol is causing a real pain in my life. Alcohol causes an incredible amount of pain, but you have to really rank that up so high because we somehow forget, because of the death effect, the pain that associates with not drinking. Really, really super important thing to think about. And here's where Andrew really steps into my way of thinking. He says, many times I thought I was ready, but all I wanted to do was flick a switch. I wasn't prepared to do everything I could to stop. So maybe it's more than just being ready, he says. I needed to be ready and willing to dig deep to do everything that I could. And I think what I find with a lot of people who believe they're ready and then they drink and then they can't understand what happened, it's because they haven't done everything they can in their power to be someone that doesn't drink alcohol. And when you're ready to make that sacrifice, then you're ready. And for 100% of people, they don't see that without the benefit of hindsight. So me and you could get into a big argument today about you saying you're ready and me saying, no, you're not ready yet, blah, 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 blah. And it won't be until you're well past it. You're in the vigilance or the enlightenment stage and you can look back and go, do you know what, Lee? I wasn't ready. Now I'm putting in the work. I can see how little work I put in back in the time. It's almost like, when I say to my son, what was it like having a drunk dad? And he's like, brilliant, amazing. I loved it. I didn't notice any different. I thought he was a great dad. But he can't see how wonderful I would have been as a dad if I wasn't drinking. He hasn't got that benefit, right? It's just, it's an assumption. And it's similar when someone say, no, I am doing everything I can to stop drinking. Well, that person will wholeheartedly believe that. But we can see as your peers and your leaders and your colleagues that, no, you're not doing everything. And by us telling you you're not doing everything, if we don't do it right, it's going to build up resistance. And you're going to fight for your right to maintain that you are doing everything in your power. But if you was doing everything in your power, would you be drinking? Okay, so really important. So to wrap all that up for me, what is incredibly important is the vow. Taking the vow that you will be a striver is incredibly important. Think about the vow you take when you're getting married. Really important, right? So that is really important when you're going to get ready. Moving through the stages of change and understanding what those stages of change are, the strive model for change, and being willing to drop down and to move up when you're ready with advice of your peers and coaches is really important, okay? How we deal with drinking is really important. If you drink and then go on an absolute bender and develop a case of the fuck it's, you are nowhere near ready yet to stop drinking alcohol. You can continue doing the work in the stuck and thought stages or the research stage, but you're not ready to do initiative. But if you drink today and then tomorrow you get on Strive and you start talking to people about what happened and then you hit another run and you say to yourself, I'm never doing that again, I realize how I screwed up here, then maybe we don't have to knock you back to the thought stage and the stuck phase. Maybe you can stay in the research stroke initiative phase, right? So dealing with drinking, how you deal with those relapses is really important. What have I said here? Whenever we drink alcohol, please take that as a sign that it's a lack of unreadiness, because it's a clear indication that you don't have the ability to manage X, to do Y without drinking alcohol, okay? And if you're drinking alcohol for any reason, because it tastes nice, because you were stressed out, because of the coronavirus, because your crazy mother-in-law came round and wound you up, because you fell out with your husband, whatever it is, it's showing you that you have not developed the ability yet, or the toolkit yet, or the psychological know-how yet, or the spiritual know-how yet, to live a life without drinking alcohol. And that means that you're not ready yet. So maybe the answer to this question is you will never know when you're ready until you look back in hindsight and go, oh yeah, that's when I was ready. But let me tell you this, working with people like myself, working with people like the Strive coaches and ambassadors and your peers who have done 1,000 days, who are in the 1K club, the people in the 1K club, they can help you. They will see the signs that were in themselves, okay? If you get any questions on this whatsoever, then let me know, okay? Thank you.